Hi. Today we'll differentiate between DCML and anterolateral systems, which includes pain pathway. So these are important in terms of writing exams and understanding clinical examination of sensory system. To start with, DCML is carried with large myelinated fibers when compared to small unmyelinated fibers which are involved in the anterolateral systems, which include A delta fiber or C, which is unmyelinated fiber also. Here we come back to DCML, it is A alpha or A beta fiber which can carry signals with the velocity of, or I can say speed of the nerve signal 30 to 110 meters per second. Then comparative point on ALS or pain pathway 6 to 44 meters per second, that is the speed. Then spatial orientation, as it was already covered, spatial orientation or topographic orientation is very high in DCML and when compared to ALS, and this is minimal on anterolateral system or pain pathway. Then tactile sensibility is the modality carried by the DCML, which includes tactile localization, discrimination, stereognosis, position sense, vibration sense. Whereas the pain pathway, that is ALS or anterolateral system, which include pain, temperature, tactile sense, there is crude touch, then tickle, itch, sexual sensation. The broad spectrum of sensations are carried by ALS or anterolateral system. And one more difference is DCML relays majority of its signals in the thalamus and somatosensory cortex, whereas the anterolateral system relays its signals in the basal regions of the brain, in addition to supplying somatosensory cortex and thalamus. Of course, the thalamus, all these fibers are joining together from both the tracts in the ventrobasal complex and some other areas of the thalamus in case of ALS. So the key point you have to remember is DCML is ascending on the same side of the spinal cord, whereas the pain pathway or anterolateral system is going to cross immediately in the spinal cord and ascend upward to the medulla oblongata and thalamus. So the spatial orientation is maintained throughout for DCML in case of medulla, in case of DCML as in the spinal cord, in the medulla oblongata in terms of nucleus gracilis and nucleus cuneatus, then finally in the thalamus and somatosensory cortex. Whereas ALS, the spatial orientation is poor. So these are the few differences where you can make it out on the paper so that you can get better representation of these two tracts in 5 mark segment as well as in understanding sensory system examination. See you.